So you think that 50% of all internet businesses are going to be wiped out in the next 2 years?
Information marketing, that's on life support, and it'll be dead in 2 or 3 years. A lot of lead generation, that's going to be dead too. There's also a huge amount of opportunity around that. We would say content is king and keywords are queen. Now, context is king and intent is queen. It used to be about marketing, now it's about experience.
You've made a list of items that you believe are in the middle of changing forever.
Yes, and
today we're going to talk about what is going to change forever in marketing because of artificial intelligence. And today I have the extreme pleasure of interviewing Perry Marshall, who wrote 80/20 Sales and Marketing. For 14 years, I've been a student of his. He wrote the cornerstone book called The Ultimate Guide to Google AdWords that became the cornerstone book of all pay-per-click advertising. We're talking the $40 billion advertising platforms like Google AdWords, Facebook ads, YouTube ads. Perry wrote the book that set the foundation for all of that. My first exposure to Perry is when I actually stole his digital book, and I've apologized profusely, and hopefully I've been able to help him in other ways since. It's been far worth more than $97. So with that, welcome to Austin, Texas, Mr. Perry Marshall.
it's great to be here, Tim.
Yeah, great to have you here. So you think that 50% of all internet businesses like InfoBiz and SaaS and whatnot are going to be wiped out in the next 2 years. What inspires you to say that?
So first, I don't want to just say that as a gloom and doom. There's also a huge amount of opportunity around that, but it's definitely happening and it's already midway through the cycle. There's a lot of things in the world that are already on life support, and I just feel nobody's really called it out. So for example, information marketing, as traditionally defined, it started in the mail order world decades ago and really flourished in the internet, especially like in the 2000s. That's on life support, and it'll be dead in 2 or 3 years. It'll be completely dead. And a lot of lead generation for a lot of companies that aren't info businesses at all, like even plumbers and software companies, there's lots of lead generation that is done around information marketing models, and that's going to be dead too. And so literally half of what most people learned about marketing is going to be obsolete by probably 2027 or 2028. And we're going to be on a completely new set of rules.
So why do you say information marketing? So sharing expertise or how-tos or whatnot, why do you think that's going away in the next few years?
Well, so the traditional info marketing world has run on, if there is a niche topic that you have expertise on that people can't easily find. So traditionally it was, if there's not a book on that topic in the bookstore, then you can be a niche publisher and you can go down deep on that topic. And then in the internet, if I would have to do 30 different web searches to compile a bunch of information to figure something out, then you could always bundle that up and sell it as a $10 book or a $1,000 course or anything in between. And that worked really great. But AI is making, if a chatbot can assimilate most of the information on the internet and answer the question accurately, that's not a business anymore. And so it completely axis shifts what intellectual property is. It changes what tribal knowledge is. It used to be tribal knowledge was owned by certain people in certain industries. Now it's owned by a big platform. And so I don't think most people have really registered this change for what it is. And so a lot of businesses are running on fumes. A lot of businesses are having a very hard time generating leads, sustaining attention, and the focus has moved much more to personal touch, personal branding, sell results, not procedures, and like just having some bits of advice is not a defensible business anymore.
So you've made a list of items that you believe are in the middle of changing forever as it pertains to using the internet to market, be it ads, be it content, be it social media. What are some of those items?
Marketing used to trump quality. Now marketing broadcasts bad quality. Reviews have completely changed things. So like if you have a roofing service or a book or anything that's 3.5 stars, you can't hide it. Marketing only serves the purpose of getting a chance for people to experience a product. And if the experience is not fantastic, you're dead. And so it used to be about marketing. Now it's about experience. Microsoft is a perfect example of that. Microsoft was a very mediocre product back in the 90s, but they had better marketing and better network effects and better contracts with Dell and all the computer manufacturers. But ChatGPT comes along and they get 100 million users in a few weeks. And it's because there was an unmistakable, oh my goodness, I didn't know that's possible. The product proved itself. And then people couldn't not talk about it. The emphasis in marketing is now what is the core deliverable and the core experience that you can demonstrably prove. It's not putting lipstick on a pig.
It's kind of like when Uber came out and it was just so unmistakably superior to taxis.
Yes. Uber had a sledgehammer selling proposition. It wasn't just fresh hot pizza delivered. Like, no, you got an app in your phone, you go anywhere in 5 minutes.
So reviews predate AI. So what is it about AI that's changed or accelerated that has you really raising the flag on this?
So there used to be this phrase, we would say content is king and keywords are queen. Now, context is king and intent is queen. And so I watch my kids. I have a 20-year-old who he's using AI to teach him computer programming. He's not even going to school. He wants to go to school and he'll get there, but right now, if you are asking a question like, I want a computer command that will do XYZ, or I want a club in Austin, Texas that will give me this kind of an experience, it's going to connect. It's a search engine for intent. It's not a search engine for keywords. Search engine for keywords is going obsolete. And so, intent. So what unique intent does your website express that is above and beyond words? Like, I've always struggled with catering to a search engine instead of catering to people because I'm a people person. I hate visiting a website that's been obviously designed for a bunch of keyword stuffing. That's a very artificial experience. I can't even make myself do it. Well, so many people are trained in that very narrow mentality that they're not even accustomed to thinking, what does the person actually want? We're not very far from most people learning how to express what they really want to a search engine instead of, we've all been trained to talk search engineese. And we got trained to do that. That didn't exist in 1990.
In the past, you and I have talked about drumming. And we've talked about how, even just on YouTube alone, that the caliber of YouTube drummers is insane.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, just recently, I've watched YouTube drummers literally get picked up by triple A, 5-star, iconic rock and roll Hall of Fame level bands.
Yes.
Because the band saw the YouTube drummer play the entire album front to back as good or better than the guy who passed away or left or whatever.
Yes.
And so YouTube has allowed whatever a person wants to get good at, they can get hella good at it super fast. And it's no longer just tutorials on how to use Adobe Photoshop.
Yes.
It is anything.
Yes.
And I now think about pairing that kind of like tutorial expert level knowledge based on everything from storytelling to cooking to coding. And I've got YouTube personally on one screen and I've got ChatGPT on the other.
Yes.
And now I have a live coach who can coach me whether I need to see it on YouTube or I need the step-by-step on ChatGPT. And so the speed with which I get really good is astronomical compared to me 10 years ago. So feeding back to what you talked about, reviews and quality, the quality of what entrepreneurs and including our competitors are putting out there accelerated a ton because of the internet and then even more because of YouTube. But now it almost seems to be like a force multiplier, not linear, but geometric, where it's now actually the AI that's learning all of that and can produce the result.
Yes. And I want you to notice that what you were talking about in the whole drummer conversation was acquiring a skill. Nobody is going to program an AI robot to sit on the drum throne and play the drums because nobody wants to watch a robot play drums. They want to watch a person play drums. They want to admire his skill. And what you're trying to get when you got YouTube on one screen and ChatGPT on the other screen is you to get the skill as fast as possible. So if you're a trainer, you're in the business of conferring skills to your audience. You're not any longer in the business of publishing information to an audience. And if you're in a business where a robot could do that, well, now you're in the robot business. You're not even in the skill business. Because if I can just get a robot to read my receipts and put them in the accounting system, why on earth does anybody need that skill anymore? Like, notice transcribers was a big business 15 years ago and it's gone. I don't think anybody misses it because it's just a dumb menial job. And it's really nice, isn't it? That we can have a conversation and 5 minutes later we have a transcription and a summary and a mind map of the whole entire thing. We get so much done faster. So I believe the good news is the well of human desires is bottomless. The minute people satisfy a need, they will want something else. You can bank on that forever. So it's not like the world is running out of problems to solve or running out of people with money that want somebody to fix something for them. That's not going away at all. But if you're just a transcriber or you're just a data entry person, God help you.
I watched an interview with the CEO of an AI agent service called Lindy, and someone said, "Are you concerned that the robots are taking human jobs?" He said, "Well, actually, it's that humans have been doing robot jobs, and now we just have the right person doing it."
Yes.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yes, and if you especially think 20th century, we have ascribed a great deal of honor to people doing basically robot jobs so that society will hold together. For example, being a medical doctor is not a fun job for most people. It's a grind. I got to see 35 patients an hour, like talk to them, like not even look them in the eye. I'm looking at a computer, typing stuff in, and then I'm to the next office and the next office. But doctor is a very high status job because we need somebody to do it. There's a whole bunch of jobs that we have to redefine to, like most functional medicine doctors, you pay out of pocket and they actually sit down with you and they talk you through your whole entire life, and they figure out what's ailing you, and they don't just prescribe a pill. So let's take that and just expand it to every other profession where people have been doing robot jobs. What is it that we originally wanted?
There's a great, when I got my kinesiology degree, one line we heard again and again in our behavior modification classes. So if people want to stop smoking or start fitness or whatever, is people will quit a program before they'll quit a relationship.
Yes.
Anyone can get a fitness trainer. In fact, I have a fitness trainer custom GPT right now that can tell me sets and reps based on the exact equipment I have in my home gym with the exact exercise I like to do. I put it all in there and it gives me the exact right workout every single time. But do I work out all the time because of the custom GPT? I do not. You want to know what keeps me working out? My girlfriend being like, hey, let's go today. And I'm like, perfect, let's go. Because it's the relationship that keeps you going. Hence CrossFit, hence, bar Pilates or whatnot.
Yes. And if there's anything that AI does that creates a thirst, is it dehumanizes so many things and it mechanizes so many things that I think it's going to make humans more hungry for relationships. So let's think 2020, COVID, Zoom, 6 feet away, isolation. That's like the extreme. I think by 2030, we're going to be back to bar stools, wood tables, bourbon, wine, coffee, tea, conversation, real drummer, real guitar player, not synthesizer. I think there's a pendulum swinging that way. And what info marketers, where they used to sell information, now they need to sell relationship and connection and community. And now the word authenticity is so overused, but I know that you know what I mean when I say authenticity, like willingness to get naked, willingness to cut a vein and bleed, willingness to say, I tried to commit suicide 7 years ago after my wife left me, and tell the whole story, because nobody's going to get that from an AI.
What's another item that you think is going to forever be changed by the arrival of AI in marketing?
It used to be that a 200-step sales sequence was a moat and a fortress. And I remember Dan Kennedy saying, I could outline every single one of my 200 steps and I could put it all on a chalkboard and everybody would have fallen asleep and left the room by the time I got to the end. Okay, that was 2003. Now, they'll have all those, to a large degree, people already do. Like, they have the steps, or if they don't, they'll just build them. And then we're not very, maybe a year away from AI agents building all those things. Like right this second, deep search is like all the big platforms are rushing to get a deep research feature out. So, okay, I will go research the hotel for you or the plane flight for you or the physiologist for you, and I will come back with a bunch of answers. I'll see you in 15 minutes. So when you can do that, then complexity of business is no longer a moat. Now you need network effects with communities to create moats. And so network effect is Uber. Riders attract drivers, which lower the wait time, which attracts riders, which attracts drivers, which lowers the wait time. Well, that pattern, everywhere that kind of pattern can be repeated into a business and build a community, that's what a 21st century moat is.
So you're saying that if a business says, we have a 15-step process to book your trip to Maui, we will take care of every last detail, make sure that you have an itinerary that's in your Google Calendar that includes everything, including your ground transportation, your confirmation codes, and that's just not something you're going to do on your own, smashing the keys at Google Flights, but we can create the comprehensive experience. You're saying that used to work. And now I can just tell ChatGPT or an AI agent to go do the same, and they can produce the same outcome.
Yes, and that means that any travel company, the ability to do that is just table stakes. It's just what people expect as an absolute minimum of a good experience. And so now you have to ask, so what's after that? After I can connect all the venues and the rental cars, and I can give you a perfect itinerary, what's the next thing that all the other guys who have Google can't do? Because Google could do that. And it's probably going to come down to the relationships with vendors and relationships with customers and ability to connect customers to vendors and create network effects that even Google doesn't have. And that is real. I have a great client, Finn Peacock, at Solar Quotes Australia, and they built a tech customer service chat bot for solar power installation in Australia. And they built the bot so that every question gets answered by a bot. It goes to a person, checked for quality, and then sent to a customer. It cut the customer service load by 30%. It made the customer service job more interesting because now they're managing a bot, not just answering a bunch of mundane questions. And here's what people don't realize about that. You go, well, that's neat, but it's also a moat because as far as I can tell, they have the best solar power chatbot in the world. It's much better than what you get on ChatGPT or Google because they're just averaging all the solar power information, which is very mediocre. So now Solar Quotes is ahead of every other solar provider, and they can use that to attract more customers and get that flywheel going faster and faster. And then by the time some other guy starts a chatbot, they are 2 years ahead, and the other guy can never catch up. That opportunity exists in every industry for anybody who has a real serious body of work and a unique point of view for how to solve a problem.
And so what makes them different and superior is the depth of knowledge and customer data that they can then train their custom GPT
Yes.
or equivalent at way
Yes.
deeper.
It's depth of knowledge times number of customers. Like you multiply those numbers together, and then that's the speed at which the knowledge gets deeper and the customer experience gets better and attracts more customers. Most info marketers and coaches and people, they do not recognize what I just said. That is a major, major opportunity in the next 2 years.
Last question, hoping you could give me a quick insight. You mentioned something in a previous conversation we had that you think SaaS is gone within a couple years or something like that. Could you share me your perspective on that?
I think software as a service in the next 2 to 6 years, it's going to depend on the specifics. That moat investors have been relying on that for years, and it's created enormous multiples and valuations. And as programming gets easier and easier to do, that moat is going to come down. I can see that moat still staying in place for highly regulated or super high risk industries where your SaaS has to produce, like maybe it's some medical thing and they're going to sue you blind if you make a mistake, and so everything has to be perfect. But if there's a margin for error that's acceptable, then people will just use agents and bots and they'll build what they want. I also think there's a big industry for integrators that can pull AIs together and give a person or an industry exactly what they need. They go, well, I'm tied to this old SaaS and our whole business runs on it, but it really holds me back. And the provider is on vacation and I need something better, it's going to be so much faster to make custom software applications.
Amazing. How would you like people, if they wanted to know more about your thoughts related to AI, marketing, or anything else, how do people get a hold of you?
Go to perrymarshall.com and sign up for the Perry Marshall Minute, which is an email that we send out every day. It's only this long. It's literally a minute. And down the rabbit hole, you will go.
Amazing. Well, if anyone has not read Perry's cornerstone marketing book, it's called 80/20 Sales and Marketing. One thing I love about this book is timeless. What was true when you wrote this a handful of years ago is still true today.
Yes.
Even more so with AI. Timeless principles here. There's a reason Dan Kennedy called this one of the best marketing books ever written. So, Perry, thank you for continuing to be a great influence in my life, shaping my thinking about entrepreneurship, and for being here with me in Austin, Texas today.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.